last section, time compression, productivity, tips and tricks and tools, T3. This section, I'm going to give you the best things I've got to increase your actual productivity. But I'm going to start with this. You've already got the best one. You've heard me say it 100 times. It's called being present. When you are present, you change time. I've given you dozens of examples. A minute at a hot stove feels like hours. Hours with your beloved feels like minutes. Einstein. That's relativity. That's how you change time. See, when you're on the stove, you're trying to retract away from where you're at. You're not present. You're not present what's happening because it's painful. But when you're with your beloved, you're fully engaged in the physical space and presence of that moment, and time changes. It's called being in the flow state. As you practice being present, and as you practice being mindful, productivity goes up. If you start multitasking, you will have the illusion by the release of dopamine that you are getting more done. And you are. It's just not such great work. Now, low-level activities, you can multitask. I suggest it, limit it. But remember what I said. If you practice multitasking as a way of being, that's what you're wiring. So when you try to get present, it's more difficult. Not bad or wrong, just pay attention. So mindfulness and being present is the best productivity tip. And so practicing that 3 minutes of meditation is going to help wire your brain that. Head, heart, and body, what I taught you, will help wire you to do that. The problem with technology, as we talked a little bit about, it was always designed for us to get back more time. You know that, right? It was designed for you to have more time. It actually did the exact opposite for most people. Now it's a ball and chain. You have an expectation of people in your life that if you do not text them back, like something's wrong. Are you pissed off at me? I mean, I texted you 40 minutes ago and you haven't responded. And you get caught up in this whole psychological, emotional, physical, also with texting, dopamine response. And we also, here's a little trick. You ever see someone texting while they're driving? You see it, right?
Yeah.
See it every day. I stopped getting pissed off about it because I learned something. I got to be truthful. I'm less pissed off about it, okay? I'll be truthful. But there is a biological drive to complete the communication cycle. I'm going to tell you a story. It's a really important story about your life. Would you like to hear it? Okay. So the thing about communication, are you waiting on something?
You were talking to me. Where are you leaving?
It just happened. There's a biological need to complete the conversation loop. We feel incomplete when it's not complete in our brain. I just made something up with her, and she was like, what the f? She's like, what? So what happens when you get a text, Emily? Comes in, biologically you want to get complete. Now, there are times you're like, I'm not answering that, right? We all do that. But our desire is somebody's talking to me. I got a question for you. I have a question for you.
What?
See, she just answered. We're trained to answer questions. Someone comes up and goes, what's your name? We're trained pretty much to answer. This is a great thing if you know how to use that. I was at the gym a couple of years ago, and The Rock was there. One of my clients and friends, this is a funny story, was his body double. Actually, he's a cousin of him. And my friend knew that I was training at a gym where The Rock was training a couple of years ago. And he goes, man, when you see him, would you tell him? I said, hi. I go, listen, I'm there early in the morning. I don't really want to bug the guy. But we were at a gym where there wasn't a lot of people. So one day I walked up. And this is a great story about how we're wired. I walked up. He was doing leg presses. And I walk up. I go, hey, Dwayne, somebody said hello to you. And he was like, what? And he put his hand out and shook my hand before he even knew what was going on. Because he's, first of all, I was polite. I wasn't, it was respectful. He was in a break, and I said, someone wanted to say hello to you. And he reached out, he goes, who? Hell, he doesn't even know me. But it was an automatic like this. That's an automatic response. So I told him who it was, and we had a great conversation because it was a good friend of his, actually, and related to him in the Hawaiian heritage. But we're trained. We're trained to respond to questions. We're trained to complete the cycle. So when people are driving down the freeway and they're like, oh, I better respond to that. And we'll also become addicted to that dopamine release. So it's just knowing that single-focused tasks will increase your performance. Don't let technology be used against you, only let it be used for you. It's a simple thought. When you're out there using it, let it be used for you. Okay, I'm going to go down rapid fire some of these tools. Number one is time blocking. The number one tool for you to compress time is time blocking. And this is how it works. 55 minutes of work, 7 minutes of rest. 55 minutes of work, 7 minutes of rest. If you can do that, you will accelerate time and production. Now, when you do this, I'm talking to you, and I will complete the communication. If you are multitasking, everything's going to go down. The key is you got to shut everything off. You got to shut off your reminders, your phone, and set a timer. Now, here's the thing. If you're in your day of business and you've got to take some calls, you want to cluster similar activities. So I'm going to make calls to my clients, 55 minutes. I'm not going to make calls, check a little email. Oh, there's a shoe sale. Not going to do that. It's 55 minutes of calls. I have found in my work that's a really great 55-7. You can alter that. But the key is you work on what you're working and then you rest. That's 7 minutes. Go bake a cake. Anyone like to bake in here? Emily, do you like to bake?
I do, but it doesn't take 7 minutes.
Okay, well, I use the easy oven cookies. You put them in there. And actually, I don't. But whatever you're going to do for 7 minutes, you can do whatever you want. But when that timer goes off, you're back in. If you do this, you can actually, in hours, if you had an 8-hour day, you can just move it right down to 4. Because you guys are wasting so much time multitasking and unfocused. Everyone's doing it. So I'd invite you to try that. But whatever you do, if you want to change the ratio, but 55-7 is a really good ratio. 2 or 3 of those, you're going to be a little tired. And here's your bonus. Take a half an hour off. People go, I can't take a half an hour off. It's the middle of the day. Well, you're wasting your time anyhow. Take it off, rest. Do one of my hypnosis recordings. Do a meditation. Go for a walk. Get in nature. I'm going to add some things on here that are not on here. One of them you had mentioned is get into nature. Nature has an amazing ability. Remember we talked about the law of nature? We're designed to be the best we can. The other law of nature is it will bring you back to your homeostasis. One of the things about those teen retreats, it was in nature. It's up in Ojai, in a camp. Nature has an effect on us. There's a perfect balance in nature. So get into nature. Take your shoes off. Walk in the grass. For you corporate people that are on cement all the time, get out there. I love this area because it's so beautiful with the exterior. You're actually in nature a bit, but get out there. The 20-minute recharge. I'm just going to start hitting some on you. 20-minute recharge. Take 20 minutes during the day to reset yourself. Like I said, I've got some conditioning problems, but meditate. Take a nap. Take time for you and reset yourself. You're grinding yourself down, and it's like the law of diminishing returns. When you go to the gym and exercise, there's a certain point the extra time is working against you. Do you get that? Got it?
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah. You want to maximize your time. You want to maximize your time. I'm going to recap the whole 2 days very quickly. We started with you understanding the foundation, how time works. We went through the 5 steps of the time compression formula. We then went through the sales compression, time compression for sales, and then we completed your time compression performance GPS map. You may realize or you may not realize the amount of information that was presented to you was a lot. Would you agree?
Yes.
Did you get value?
Yes.
Do you see the things that you can implement now?
Yes.
Okay, we got to finish strong. Got to finish strong. Do you see it?
Yes.
Do you see the possibility?
Yes.
And as we look at going forward, I just want you to realize one thing. As I said on Wednesday, you won the biggest Olympic trial of your life. You're here. And we joked about, the 249,990 sperm that lost, but one got there, and that's you. And there's a reason you are here, and not some other version of you. Your destiny is going to be shaped by the decisions and the actions and the commitments that go forward from this day. It's that simple. Because time is the commodity. And you don't know how much time you've got left. No one does. And my hope for you is you take this information, share it with your family, share it with your businesses, but to protect your time, to focus your time on areas of your life that truly matter the most. Because at the end of the day, all you have is time. And what you do with it determines what you do, be, and become. And what you have or don't have. It's our most precious asset, our most valuable commodity. And my hope for each and every one of you is that you now use it for your highest good. Because we saw that video of the jelly beans. You remember the jelly beans?
Yes.
You remember we started with all those jelly beans about 78 years, and it all comes down to one jelly bean. If tomorrow was your last jelly bean, what would you do? What would you do? You see, once we get connected to that, and we start acting and behaving that potentially we only got one more jelly bean left, everything changes. What's really important changes. Who you are changes. Where you spend your time changes. But you got to be present to time. You got to be present to time. So this is our completion of the time compression formula and your performance GPS. Stand up and give yourself a hand. The music, Chris, give yourself a hand.